Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another VCO Esports studio live on Twitch. If you are following us directly, welcome along. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our first episode of this new season. This is episode 2. In a theme, we are looking at all of the ERLs and the various Spring Cup and Summer Cup coming up, and the results that we've seen across those different platforms and competitions. Now, Apex Racing last week, if you didn't listen, then make sure you do, was an obvious choice because they had managed to finally beat some of the big names in the world of esports. This next team, if you are a fan of iRacing or R Factor 2, you might not have heard of them, but you certainly would have heard of them if you're an ACC guy. And if we expand into the future, I'm sure you'll hear much more of them. It's the GTWR Racing team, and represented this evening by Giorgio Simonini. I think I said that correctly. Giorgio, welcome along. Thank you very much for talking to us as the team manager of GTWR. Just tell us a little bit more about the team.
Good evening, everyone, and you spelled it correctly, Giorgio Simonini, and as well as GTWR. And I'm really, emotioned to be here this evening with the team that has done a really great result. And it's actually an historical team from Assetto Corsa. It has born in 2013. It's an Italian team, so we have built our name throughout Assetto Corsa, winning national championships, and then we picked up the idea to go international in 2020 with SRO. And actually, it became very interesting because we took a lot of very professional drivers back then. And we started doing front rows in SRO, doing championship wins like SimGrid. And we kept doing very well with the team we had. So we were keeping improving as well with the talent scouting. And actually, it became so interesting that we said, why not trying VCO as well? It was a challenge for us because we're mostly ACC drivers, so getting alongside a championship like this is challenging for us. But we said, we tried SRO 2 years ago, let's go with VCO and let's see what happens. And actually being a winner of the ACC Cup is one of the most relieving things we could have done. But also, we want to strengthen ourselves in iRacing and Factor 2 to be even more competitive and maybe join the Masters.
A really interesting story, and I also noticed that your colour scheme, the colours that you're wearing this evening, are very familiar in the world of sim racing, but with a different team, with R8G. So what is the link with yourself and Romain Grosjean's team?
So basically, we had the amazing opportunity almost more than a year ago to collaborate with R8G. So we built the GTWR R8G Academy, where basically we are building what the academy is of R8G inside ACC. So we are developing the drivers and giving the opportunity to these drivers to drive alongside R8G, as Amir Hosseini did, for example, for R8G Esports and ACC. So we are supporting R8G basically for the ACC part. And then we as GTWR Esports are managing, our team, our talent scouting and other championships. But for the biggest championships, we are supporting R8G from this side.
And so therefore, are you kind of supporting but not seen as GTWR in those particular events? Are you seen effectively as R8G?
Yeah, exactly. In that moment when you drive with R8G, you are representing R8G. So GTWR in that moment is only giving the consulants, like the service to R8G, which is something in the background. But that's fine for us because we work a lot with the drivers. We want to give them the opportunities to show themselves, and that's what we care the most, because sim racing is about passion and about living the experiences as much as we can, and we want to brighten as much as possible the opportunities we can give to the GTWR Academy. So having this kind of partnerships gives the chance to more drivers to actually join this kind of competitions, because as you know, we only have 3 drivers to drive for Assetto Corsa Competizione. So surely giving this access to 4 or maybe 5, it's giving the drivers are more happy about it because they can drive, of course, multiple times.
If you are watching online live, we apologise for the sweat that's dripping down my face. This is the hottest day on record in the UK ever, and it's pretty hot around most of the rest of the world. So it is pretty boiling to be in a TV studio. If you're listening, you don't have to worry about that. Thank you very much, because you can, of course, listen to this as a podcast as well. Let's rewind to the beginning then, back to 2013 and the formation of GTWR. Where did it come from? Why did you decide to form a team?
So basically, it was Pasquale Minotti, which is the founder of this amazing team, and it came all with a passion. They're actually old people, so they're like 50. So they were like having this passion with racing, motorsports. So they started sim racing. I still don't know the answer why they started, but it's funny. And then they kept building the team. They were like a family, so we still feel like a family. We try to build a lot with that, and then a lot of good drivers starting to come, esports starting to growing. So I basically started managing this team 2 years ago. So I became the vice president of this company. And I'm trying to bring this to the international side, because they were mostly Italian. So I tried to do this transition with the international drivers and bring this team up with RG, with the academy, with all those little things that are actually growing this team slowly. It's actually an interesting story from the very low part beginning to something that for us is a dream, competing at this series and competing against the best.
Was it basically a group of mates then from 2013 up until the pandemic, and the pandemic and then the SRO series changed what the team represented?
Yeah, exactly. Let's say that in 2019, already with the SRO, we had the Porsche Sportcar Cup Italia. It was already, building the team that we were going on site. So we had this group of people. Like when the on site was there, we were like 10 or 20 people going to the on site, and it was really cool thing. And then in 2020, we had this transition where everyone was into esports, and we had to do that step up into international side, and that was the killer game for us. Like, that helped us a lot to actually grow.
And has it changed the approach and perhaps the professionalism that you take into the events, especially with the SRO event? I think this year is the first year where they have entry fees, so you have to pay money to do it, but you do get pretty decent prize money if you win.
Yeah, I mean, that's the difficult part nowadays, to me as a manager, to find the financial part to cover all these expenses. It's not easy at all, I have to say, especially having in the team like 100 drivers. Probably there's nothing that people know, but GTWR is Assetto Corsa Competizione. It has all the mates, as you say, from 2013. So it's a team of 100 people. As professional drivers, we have around 20 in ACC, and it's difficult to give the opportunity to everyone. So we actually have 3 teams, actually, 4, let's say. So it's really a competitive thing for us to participate to these events, but definitely the prize pool can give the opportunity to pay back, but we're not really looking to that for the moment, but more as a passion that we want to build the drivers, build the experience. So for now, the money is not invested for the prize money, but is invested for the sake of the team, to make them feel good inside the team and give everyone the opportunity to drive in these competitions.
And of course, SRO is not just a European-based thing. There are 3 championships across each week, and then the Intercontinental GT Series, which is kind of a worldwide endurance championship. Do you have a team now that expands across all those different platforms, or are you still very much a European and Italian base?
So basically, for now, we are European-based, let's say. We have also Luke White that has participated to the American series, which is winning for now, as well as Chris Hartwell that is winning the silver. So in America, we are leading for the moment, which is amazing as well. Of course, in Europe, the competition is a lot higher, as you have the biggest team again with Veloce, BMW, Lambo, and all those teams where you have a lot of competition towards. But then, you have again the international, like the intercontinental, which is again a good opportunity for everyone to actually compete against each other from different continents, which is, I think, a very good and a promising thing. But indeed, we are trying to expand as much as possible, but it's not easy, because as well, getting too much big is not worth it. Sometimes you gotta keep maybe concentrated on the on Europe, try to compete there and win there, because that's the most important thing nowadays.
But the launch of ACC and the sim racing that we've seen on it, whether it be SimGrid, whether it be SRO or VCO, it seems to be relatively level playing field. It must have been very exciting for a team like yourself who had done many years of AC, found all the tips and tricks, to have a new platform which basically brings everyone back to zero, and you have to learn all the new foibles and all the issues perhaps that the platform has, and it has obviously suffered the last couple of months with various attacks. But that must have been very exciting for you guys to really kind of nail it straight away.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it takes time. The thing that I actually thought at the beginning, we are a lot of people, so a lot of drivers. Changing platforms, if we go in 30 people, we test one car, one setup, blah, blah. We easier get to the point to have a good setup, to have a good strategy, to have a good driving in that, because we can actually compare to ourselves. And that was our strength, to actually come from Assetto Corsa to Competizione, where during SRO and all those championships, we were able to practice all together and arrive to the result faster. So that definitely is our helping game in the team.
I was about to ask about secrets, but I think that's probably a silly question to any team or team member. Let's move on to then the VCO series, because with the cups and the ERL, you are expected to race across multiple platforms. Why did you decide to come and get involved with VCO when you knew that there was the need for our Fact 2 and iRacing expertise?
So basically, we have built that racing team just 3 or 4 months ago. So we were trying to see what drivers we could get inside the team to see if we were competitive enough. And then actually, I asked, because we had this competitive racing team, which of course is not experienced as other teams, but we still wanted to play the game, because I feel like having good drivers and trying to get the knowledge time by time, we could get closer. Maybe not to the top, but we could get closer. And that's the important thing, to join these competitions and grow with them. You cannot arrive prepared to those competitions against Redline or other teams that have like years of experience, but you gotta face the problems, face the competitiveness, and just try. And I think, we are gonna try harder now for Fall Cup, definitely. So as for Factor 2, we have some drivers with experience, but they weren't able to participate to the Summer Cup, because we had one day to actually build the lineup. So we were like getting really quick to get the drivers that could participate in 2 days practice. So that was the challenging thing for the Summer Cup, but we definitely want to be more prepared for the next one and be more competitive in other platforms.
But tell me, why enter at all? You guys are masters of ACC. You prove yourself and win over there. So why come to branch out?
Because I feel like the visibility in a racing is way higher for the moment. So we want to as well, get the knowledge there. And I also feel that the future of sim racing is multi-platform. We see other platforms as well coming out, maybe Assetto Corsa 2, Rensport, or other things. So we need to be we need to stick to more platforms. Otherwise, being only on one is limiting ourselves. So definitely we need to widen our chances to win championships in other platforms, and as well the knowledge that you can get through other platforms and the experience that the drivers can get through more platforms is actually improving the team, as well as the visibility that it can have.
Does it improve the drivers if you are epic at ACC and you move over to R Factor 2? Do you feel as though a driver gets better with the experience of multiple platforms, or can it be a bit confusing sometimes, like jumping from a front-wheel drive car to a rear-wheel drive car every weekend?
Well, I can tell from my experience. I've started in F1, so I was actually driving with James Baldwin back then, having fun in AOR. It was 2018. And I felt like changing to Assetto Corsa, actually having the experience of Formula One, gives you wider, experiences kind of racing. So you can manage to adapt on formulas type of cars, on GT3s. you actually see Tonitz as well. He is a Formula One champion, but if you get him to a GT3, he does incredibly well. And I feel that is really useful for him as well, because GT3 racing is actually very competitive as well. So getting those experience of reactions, etc., is actually helping as well in different games. So testing out iRacing with the braking, which is different, can actually help you to be more precise in ACC as well. Although you need to full press the brake on ACC, but you can try brake better maybe. So it's a lot of little games with the throttle wheel that more you test, more you improve. I'm definitely sure about that.
So where is the future of your team? Because obviously you've got this partnership with R8G, and that's fantastic to be able to support a brand like R8G. But ultimately, it sounds as though you want to be competing against them and being able to be in the same league as them.
Yeah, I mean that can be, of course, our goal. To compete on all different platforms. Of course, there are a good collaboration with them. So I'm sure we will not be so much competitive to them in iRacing and Affected 2. But definitely, we want to actually improve that side. So maybe in the future we can actually be talent scouting there as well for them. So whenever they need a driver that actually does good and is competitive for them, it can actually be good for them as well, because we're in collaboration and there can be a merge, of drivers and knowledge, and I think that's also positive. I don't think going against the same collaboration is a negative, but also I think it's a very positive. Inside the team, also we have competitions, with very fast drivers in the same league. Doesn't mean it's you're going against really, but you're trying to help each other as well to get together to the top. And I think merging and the union makes the difference.
Do you think that perhaps there might be a desire to take over from R8G if there was an offer put on the table?
I didn't get the question. Maybe I misunderstood.
It was a cheeky one. I wondered whether R8G might buy into your team and just bolster them and become one unit. But it does sound as though you've got far too many drivers for that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's difficult because, of course, getting much drivers, I know it because it's difficult. It's very difficult to actually support them all. And that's almost impossible. Sometimes you need to, adapt. And I don't think getting all in one unit is useful, but also trying to widen the management team, the drivers, because managing with, like, for example, in my team, I have 25 staff members. I'm not the only one, so I'm managing this 25 people to manage servers, people, social media, and all those things, collaboration. So I'm not the only one, but I'm actually managing the whole team. And without them, all this wouldn't be real. It wouldn't be possible. So, and actually, that makes a difference. Having one manager actually managing all the drivers is impossible. We actually have managers in iRacing, in ACC, in AC, so we try to differentiate everything, because of course having 30 drivers in one platform, 30 in another, is really difficult to be managed by one person, especially if this is not a work yet. Like, for example, I'm doing this for passion. I'm not getting a cent from this for yet. So I'm really doing this because I like it.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, you mentioned the 25 people and the 100 drivers. How many of those are actually full-time working for GTWR, or do they all have other jobs?
Yeah, of course, most of the people have the jobs, because having a full-time contract, probably there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in sim racing. In ACC, I mean, I don't know about iRacing because probably there are a lot of ones, but in ACC it's really difficult to have a full-time contract. Of course, there are some that have something I cannot tell, but of course everyone is contracted. But most of, per now, is all passion, all trying to build something together, and it's getting to the path to actually get something back. But of course, for now it's really difficult for the sim racing scene to get something big, like having 100 people under payment. But surely that's the goal. But yeah, you can tell it's difficult for now to get to that point.
There are some teams out there that have managed it, and so I'm sure that you guys, with you've got enough people there, enough brains to work something out, and at least be able to reward the people like yourselves who obviously put so much time and effort and success into what you do in sim racing.
Yeah, indeed. That's what we believe. That's what we're working on. And the most happy thing I would be to actually the people having so much effort to the team, getting something back, because that's the best thing. Because when I see people doing this for free and for passion, is the most beautiful thing you can have. Because then when you start, I always feel like that when you start paying the people, they do that first. But actually it shouldn't be this, and that's the beautiful thing about GTWR, the family we have created, and I really enjoy how we've built it, because that should be the path that a team should take, and I actually recommend that to every team manager to build on that base initially, and then build, of course, all the sponsorship, financial part, but I think that's the secondary part in a passion like this, sim racing.
Well, there you go. 2 weeks and two very different characters from the world of sim racing and different approaches to the way that they go sim racing. The ultimate goal and the ultimate desire is still the same: to enjoy what you do and get great success out of it. Whether you are an organisation with a base, with dormitories for your drivers, or just 100 mates going crazy in Italian ACC. Giorgio, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great pleasure to chat to you.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thanks everyone for listening us, and thanks again for all the support. We saw that everyone loved the livery. We're actually surprised about that, because it was really cool to read. But yeah, definitely the support was insane during these days. The post VCO did, all the general, like the management of this competition was really well done. The new kind of format, so I really enjoy, and I also thank Florian, yourself, to have invited me to this interview, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one.
Yes, absolutely, and all the best of luck with all the various cups that we have on offer in the world of VCO. Of course, you can get onto our YouTube channel at any point and see live races. They're happening all of the time, and of course, Tuesday, 7 o'clock for the next foreseeable future, we'll be here with a live chat show. Can't tell you who the guest is going to be until next week, but we'll know then, and I'm sure it will be a big one. Keep across our social channels to find out exactly who. And if you are listening back, or you fancy listening to any of the previous episodes, you can log on both onto our YouTube channel and also onto your favourite podcast supplier. Until next week then, thank you very much for watching, and enjoy your sim racing. Bye-bye.